All right, quick exercise. The 5-minute daily reflection to improve awareness. An effective daily practice that enhances your communication and develops deep listening skills. All right, to become a better communicator and attract others is actually very simple. Well, let's face it, many of us are struggling just to have a simple conversation. And one of the most common mistakes that we do most of the time is simply because we're talking too much. We are not letting our counterpart, our prospect, even talk. We like to cut them off and we never hear them out. It is really easy for us to lose our attention and focus if the discussion starts becoming more about ourselves. And you have to understand that it's actually completely normal, right? We are going to get to a point where a lot of the conversations we're going to have or the moments we are going to interact with someone, we might feel a little anxiety, a little bit confused because we don't know how to actually properly listen or properly have a conversation without us taking full control. Because remember, when you're having a conversation, you want to focus on the prospect, focus on them only. And the good thing about the exercise is that even though you might feel uncomfortable at the beginning, and the best part of this exercise is that you're going to be collaborating with one friend or maybe even a family member. That way you can feel more confident in the conversation, and then slowly we start introducing with new people. It's pretty self-explanatory. The more you do this exercise, the more confident you're going to enter when you're having a conversation. But I need you guys to understand too, is that no matter what books I would recommend or what videos I'm going to provide, or even the documents that you will receive, it does not equal more results. These are the tools that are going to get you there, but the only way you're going to do it is if you actually do these exercises. You have to execute. If you're not going to be using these resources and implement in your conversations, then at this point you should probably stop watching this video and move away. Because you have to first lock in, because you have to understand that no matter how much content you consume, it's not going to result into new traits, new skills, right? You got to put it into practice. But if you're ready to change, then we will be ready to step into the 5-minute exercise. There's only one rule. You can only ask follow-up questions and not talk about yourself. It's that simple as that. And I know you guys are asking questions already. That how do you know that this is going to work? Well, you have to understand there's a certain effect called the spotlight effect where people feel more connected to those who listen more intently. And there's more other studies that proves that the more you listen, the more you let your prospect talk, the more they will trust you. It seems more counterintuitive because you would think that, okay, if I want to have a closer relationship with someone, then I have to talk more, but it's the complete opposite. So you got to prepare yourself to sit down and focus on your prospect only, right? So this is the step-by-step breakdown of the exercise, okay? The first thing, find someone to talk to. We kind of already covered this, but you can simply just choose a friend or one family member. The second thing, ask initial question and then only respond with follow-up questions, right? Using how and what questions. There's more to it, but I'm gonna keep it very simple and only stick with how and what questions. Later on, you start learning about more mirroring and labeling to kind of step away from just the questions. And lastly is resist the urge to share your own experience. Make it 100% about them, right? That means you're gonna be listening and pause. Don't share right away what's on your mind. Ideally, you do, but sometimes if you speak too fast, that's when you're gonna make a mistake. In the beginning, you wanna take in all the information that they just shared, take a moment to process that information, and then you can repeat what they just said, right? Like a summary or paraphrase it, and then you can ask a follow-up question. And one of the immediate benefits you're going to obtain the more you do these exercises is instant credibility as a great communicator comes from allowing your counterpart to speak without interruption. Just by following these simple steps and procedures, you're technically already labeled as a great communicator because you're focusing all your attention to your prospect. And going also back with the exercise, let's say that they ask you a question about you, right? For example, like, okay, I do X and Y and Z. What about you? What do you do? So it's going to be very difficult to avoid a question to you. You could simply just respond with, yeah, I would love to share that. But I'm really curious about your experience. Like, can you elaborate on what you do? So you're agreeing to answer the question, but then you're going to turn it back to them and have them elaborate or continue the conversation. You can even ask a simple question like, what else? Allows them to elaborate more on the answer they provided. And lastly, if we succeed in this, we won't just address the initial problem. If we succeed in this, we won't just address the initial problem. We'll uncover abilities that we never realized we had. That includes your listening, your paraphrasing, and that even includes pausing during your conversation. And if you guys want to learn more about these kind of exercises and more about communication and leadership, then you could just join our school community, The Art of Leadership and Networking, where we're going to include more exercises, more videos, more documents, tons of free resources for you guys who want to dominate when it comes to networking or becoming a leader in your team. If you want a challenge, you could simply just comment, what is the longest conversation you had without sharing any information about yourself?